This is the birthplace of the Bohemian Revolution. From Cowork 591 Studios, this is the Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network with co-host Dale Rueber and producer Blake Tempus. I'm Jim Gillespie, and this is the Jesup News for May 22nd, 2023. Tonight's sponsor is Derek's Repair Shop, LLC. For mechanical or detailing on your vehicle, call Derek at 319-215-8167 to make an appointment. Derek's been a friend of the Steve Brown Arts Center from early days. Please support our sponsors. On today's podcast, we talked to Vonice Hoffman on something close to our hearts, community gardens.
Very good.
We have another segment of winners and losers. We do the third segment of Mandino's book on how to be successful. We look at something big in Iowa presently, sports betting. We look at the events inside the Steve Brown Arts Center. We give you the top stories in Jesup. We discuss service and the arts. And we talk about the advice my mother gave me on birth control. It's a full episode. And perhaps we even talk about a man named Jack Taylor. The Steve Brown Arts Center is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that has a vision for artists, young and old alike, to have the opportunity to better themselves while helping to build the skills of those around them. It will be offering community programming starting in Jesup, Iowa, before expanding to neighboring communities. Programming will include a community speaker series that will showcase existing creatives who reside within a community, as well as pop-up series that will spotlight and partner with local businesses to provide opportunities for community engagements. The long-range vision is to house rural artists residency program for professional and emerging artists in all areas of the arts and the humanities. Artists will be offered accommodations and studio space in exchange for a contribution of labor and maintenance of the buildings and grounds. Let's start with winners and losers, Dale.
All right.
What do you have for us this week?
Well, I have a winner is, and this may seem a little strange, but I think Yogi Berra. You might remember our trivia question last week, 2 weeks ago.
Right?
Okay. Which one did I use? If you come to a fork in the road, take it, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about the three most quoted people in history. That was Jesus Christ, Shakespeare, and Yogi Berra. And it all comes up because there's a movie coming out, a documentary about Yogi Berra and his life, and he has a reputation as a clown. He was a short little man, 5'7" tall, and one of the greatest baseball players of all time, but really got kind of short shift with a lot of different things. I know in the 2000s they had the All-Century team. And they had, at the World Series, they had the three greatest living baseball players or whatever, and Yogi Berra was not out there. And his granddaughter in the article said that Yogi had more MVPs and World Series championships and rings than all three of those guys put together.
Right.
And yet they didn't bring him, so they were very upset by that. And the problem with Yogi Berra is that Joe Garagiola. And Joe Garagiola was a TV personality, but before that he was a baseball player, and he and Yogi grew up together in St. Louis, just a few houses apart, and both of them ended up being major league catchers, which I think is astounding. The odds of that are almost, and as an aside, they said the Hall of Fame broadcaster Jack Buck was also part of that neighborhood group of kids from St. Louis there. But Yogi Berra, and I just wrote some things down here because I can't remember all of them. He had the most World Series he was in the World Series 14 times as a player, won 10 times, was an 18-time All-Star. He was most valuable player in American League 3 times, and he received MVP votes for 15 consecutive seasons. He went in the Hall of Fame in 1972. He's one of just a few managers that have gone to the World Series with an American League team and a National League team. And just real quick, his World Series records. Most games at 75, most at-bats, 259, hits 71, doubles 10, singles 49, games caught 63, putouts 457. In 1949 through 1955, when DiMaggio and Mantle were both playing for the Yankees, Yogi led the Yankees in RBIs all of those years consecutively. 5 times in his career, he had more homers than he had strikeouts in a season.
Wow.
One year, he had 597 at-bats, struck out 12 times. So unbelievable. Nobody comes close. People strike out 12 times a week anymore. Mm-hmm. And so, the saying that I really get for Yogi is, I really didn't say everything I said. And this goes back to Joe Garagiola, because Garagiola wasn't a very good player. He was in the leagues quite a while, but he got a job broadcasting, and he wrote humorous baseball. He's a very funny man, baseball books. I think he did a stint on the Today Show, but he used to go on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson and tell these Yogi stories from when they were growing up as kids and give all these little things, and some of them were things Yogi said, and some of them were things he didn't say. And so that's what he really, when he says, I really didn't say everything I said, that's what he was referring to. And so he kind of got his tongue twisted sometimes. But the thing is that, he's a short little man. He had a big head, big ears, big nose, was kind of a funny looking, and he talked kind of funny, but had to be a very smart man to manage all the teams he did and set all the records he did as a player. And he could hit the ball in the strike zone, out of the strike zone, whatever. And probably the most well-known story about him is he was managing the Yankees, and they had lost a tough game, and they're in the bus. And Phil Lentz was a utility infielder, and he was playing his harmonica in the back of the bus, which irritated. Berra thought they should be, feeling upset about losing the game. And so he yelled at Lynch to quit playing that blank harmonica. Well, Lynch didn't hear him. He turned it back. So Mickey Mantle said, he told you to play louder. And so Yogi went back there when he started playing louder and swiped the harmonica right out of his hands, out of his mouth, grumbled something, went back to the front. Well, what that did was it turned the season around. After that, they started playing better baseball, and they ended up going and winning the pennant again, which they were not in line to do. And so the famous line he said, it isn't over till it's over, was he was managing the Mets, and they started off the year with a terrible record, and the reporters were getting after him, and he said, hey, it's not over till it's over, and he ended up winning the pennant and going to the World Series again. So I think with this movie coming out, it's a documentary, and his granddaughter is the narrator. And they got a lot of footage from he caught Don Larson's perfect game in '56, and he caught several no-hitters. And so anyway, so I think he's a real winner, even though I think he died in 2015 at age of 90. But so I think he's getting some of that serious reputation back instead of just being, the clown of baseball or whatever. But people don't realize what a great player he was.
What streaming service is that on,
I couldn't. I don't know. If you look it up, I'm sure it'll be there.
I
think it's going to be in theaters.
Okay.
I do believe, that's the impression I got.
All right.
That it'll be in theaters. And so, but it's the Yogi Berra story.
That's great detail, Dale. Thank you.
That's all right.
My winner this week is local. It's the Independence Farmers Market. It's every Saturday from the second week in May till the second week in September. Mm-hmm. And it was started a number of years ago by Joe Olson and some other people, and they do a tremendous job. They have the second Saturday series, the second Saturday of every month, where they do music, and there's bakers, there's people that sell meat, there's people that sell vegetables, there's artists there. If you get a chance to get over there, it runs from 8 until noon every Saturday. It's located at the mill there in Independence, a very pretty setting for it.
Okay, yeah. That old mill is quite a. Ever been inside?
Yes.
It's so great. It's really how they built that so many years ago, and those big beams, and everything's just fits just so, and nice building.
The amazing thing, Dale, is there was one like that in Littleton.
Oh, is that right?
There was
down by the dam?
Down by the dam years ago. Or Now that the dam is gone, the area where the dam used
yeah.
to be. But
Yeah.
Littleton at one point was going to be the county seat.
Yeah, I remember.
So-
Yeah. No, Hazelden had a mill also. It was right on the river there in Fontana.
Okay.
That's where that one shelter is, right by the dam. That was where the mill was.
Yeah.
You still see the foundation. It wasn't nearly as big as the one in Independence, of course. But no, there used to be a lot of those around.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And who do you have for the loser?
well, it's not a person, but it's artificial intelligence has been in the news lately. And today, some of the people who developed artificial intelligence are saying, you need to restrain us. You need to hold us back. You need to pass some laws because it's getting scary what can be done. And you were telling me that you did a public service announcement where you just gave a few words to your computer and it wrote it out for you,
Yeah.
better than you could have done in just a few seconds. And they can now listen to your voice for a while and then make you say lots of other things that you didn't say, put your face on somebody else's body so it looks like you're doing things you didn't do, and it's just scary. And if you think back to the horror movies you watch as a kid, like King Kong or Godzilla, you could tell those were fake, weren't real, so they weren't really scary. But then you get 2001: A Space Odyssey, where Hal the computer takes over and decides he's going to do the thinking for the boys, and if they mess with him, they die, and that's scary. And I think the Terminator movies are scary, where things we develop to think for us and do things, those kind of things for us, actually become smarter than we are. And these people who have developed this artificial intelligence are now saying, the laws can't keep, the legislators, the laws can't keep up with us because it's just, and so somebody's got to do something. We need to tone back because they feel it is very dangerous. And so hopefully, I don't say it's the beginning of the end of artificial intelligence, but again, I don't know. We can't, most of us aren't willing to go back and live like the Amish live with farming and that sort of thing. But we need to somehow or other keep things on an even keel where our brain is still necessary and we still have work to do. So I think that's my loser thought of the week. So.
The loser for me is the federal government right now trying to make a deal that we are going to or not going to pay our debts for. I think we will default on our loans by about June 1st. They don't know the exact
That's what they're predicting,
date.
yeah.
Yeah,
So.
and right now both sides of the aisle are fighting over whether we should or shouldn't, and they're threatening each other, and it's amazing that the wealthiest country in the world has to argue about whether or not we're going to pay our debts.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
to me is the biggest loser.
Yeah, no, the ramifications are much greater than you might think.
Yeah.
From what all the news reports are saying, that like stock markets and the world economy, which depends on the value of a dollar, could take a hit, and so there's lots of things that could go wrong with this. Social Security, they might not pay us. What do we? And so
It is.
yeah, it's a scary moment, and you think they'll come together, but sometimes people get their back up.
There's a few people that can hold our country hostage in the House and
Yeah.
in the Senate.
Well, I believe in the Constitution. It says that all spending bills have to come out of the House of Representatives, and if they want to spend less money, all they got to do is take care of business. Not because the president can't spend money unless the House allows him to, the House and the Senate. But all those bills have to come out of the House, if I'm remembering my Constitution right. And so if the House of Representatives is not sending these money bills out, well, then less money could be spent. So I don't understand. They want somebody to say, it's like, please control me. Don't let me kill again or whatever. So, so yeah, I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you.
All right. A couple of co-work 591 announcements. The food trucks this month. On the 23rd, the Foods Here mobile from 10:30 to 1:30. That's on the 23rd. That's tomorrow. And then on the 30th, the Burrito Express from 11 till 2. I believe the Burrito Express was here this past week.
Yeah, I
from
had one of
11
their
to-
burritos. They're huge.
Are they huge?
But it was very good.
All right.
But
well,
they're big.
I'm on the road on Tuesdays, so I'll miss
Well,
that.
you'll miss that burrito.
Yes, I will. Yes, I will. In library news, a little Todd story time meets every Thursday at 10:30 a.m. for songs, stories, and more. The Spice Club for May is the Caraway. The Book Club, join us Monday. That's past now. They talked about the book The Exiles by Christina Baker. Don't forget about the Friends of the Jesup Public Library. You can be part of that. The special Saturday story time was this past weekend. Moving Monday is today, actually, at 1 p.m. for you people listening on Monday, May 22nd. New things to check out. Don't forget the Jesup Public Library has STEM activity bags, cookie cutters, craft stamps, and more. We have the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, 1,000 books before kindergarten, and the bestsellers at the JPL include The Happy Place by Emily Henry, In the Lives of Puppets by T.J. Klune, Hang the Moon by Jeanette Walls, Dark Angel by John Samford, Simply Lives by David Baldacci, Homecoming by Kate Morton, I Will Find You by Harlan Coben, Countdown by James Patterson, and Spare by Prince Harry. I believe I caught in the news Prince Harry was involved in a car chase today.
Yeah, they're kind of, Harry's people are saying they were in imminent danger, it was terrible, and everybody else saying, well, it was chaotic, but it wasn't all that bad. And so we'll probably never know what the true, but I think he is, I don't know if paranoid is the right word, but it does concern him a great deal after what happened to his mother about being chased. And he has stated that he's afraid his wife is going to get killed someday in one of those things, like his mother did, because it's something that stayed with him since he was a little boy. So
Right.
There's a little difference in how severe the whole thing was. And one guy said, I lived in New York City all my life. You cannot have a high-speed chase in New York City. There's too many traffic lights, too many pedestrians. It's just not possible. So,
This is the Steve Brown podcast, Steve Brown Art Center Podcast Network, and we're here with Vonice Hoffman. Vonice, welcome.
Thank you for letting me be here tonight.
Yeah, we've got the word that you're active here in Jesup with the community gardens. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. The Jesup Community Garden was started last year. We started with 10 plots last year. This year we are up to 16. The gardens are located at Jesup Bible Fellowship Church. It's not really affiliated with the church. It's just that some of us that have been working with the board go to that church, so we can use that for meetings, and we've been able to use the land behind the garage for the gardens. Gardens are open to anybody in Jesup. Last year we did have a community garden where we had some vegetables and things that we grew, but this year we just have the plots for people to use.
How big are your plots?
The plots are all 10 by 10, 10 foot by 10 foot. There are some walkways through there. They're very well marked. We have markers there, and then whoever rents a plot will put their name there at their plot. And then a little bit later in the season, we'll put some fencing up because we do have some pesky rabbits around there that like the vegetables just as much as we do.
So is it? You mentioned rent a plot. Does it cost to rent them?
It does cost to rent them. The plots go for $25 for the year. If you want 2 plots, the second one will be $15. So that money goes back into the garden. We have organic fertilizer or manure, however you want to say that.
Manure's good.
Yes, yes. We also have, the cost of rototilling, and we put some mulch down for pathways and those sorts of things. So that's pretty much we're not there to make money. We're just there to keep the garden going and keep it going
So
well.
when you rent a plot, it's ready to go. It's fertilized and tilled and ready to go.
It's fertilized, tilled. All you have to do is put your seeds or your plants in and watch them grow.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you need to have your own spade and stuff like that when you come down to the garden, or are those things provided for you?
Those things are not provided for you, so you will need to bring those yourself. We do have some donated seeds. For example, I have my own garden at home. There's 2 people in my household. I don't need a whole package of bean seeds. So, people that don't use all their seeds, they will donate them, and we have a little box down there that can be thrown in there. Example again, I buy 4 tomato plants. I only need 2. So people will donate plants also that they have extra for people to use. We do have a big water tank there. It gathers the water off the roof of the shed there, and it's usually full, and that is there for anybody to use. There are also some donated tomato cages, so as people leave things, people are allowed to use those.
So do you have like a weed police if you get a little behind, somebody call on you or anything like that? Or
We haven't had any problem with that yet.
Okay.
We do kind of watch it. I'm usually there at least once a week checking it out. And so if somebody does get behind, we will probably notify them, see if there's any way we can help them with the situation or not. So, yeah.
So there's still plots available for people if they want to contact you.
There are plots available. I think at last count we had 9 taken. There are 16 altogether. So there are still 7 available for use.
And so if someone was interested, Vonice, how would they contact you?
Okay, the easiest way is if you can get onto Facebook. There is a Jesup, Iowa Community Garden. And if you leave a message there or even respond to one of the posts, we will contact you and help you get started. The other thing is if anybody has questions or can't get onto Facebook, they can contact me. My email address is T as in Tom, .V as in Victor, .Hoffman @gmail.com.
Okay, would you say that one more time?
Yes, T as in Tom, .V as in Victor, .Hoffman, which is HOFFMAN, @gmail.com.
Okay, and if you don't get that or you can't get a hold of Vonice, get a hold of us here at the podcast, and we can get you her email as well. So, Vonice, have you done before the community garden here? Have you been involved in a community garden before?
I have not been involved in community garden before. I am a gardener. I am not a master gardener. I am a gardener. So I did have an interest in that. It's been interesting to see because we had people last year who have never, ever gardened in their life. And so to watch them put the seeds in the ground and to get things out, they were amazed that they could grow anything. We also have people who have gardens in their home, but it's just not enough room. And I know that when I would go down to the garden and work, there would be some of us, we would just stand there and talk. So we are able to help people who've never gardened before and would like to learn. It's just really a lot of fun. There's a lot of community there in the garden. So,
Would you allow someone to put in like a strawberry bed if they would commit to several years in a row or something like that? If they wanted to start something like that, or
we can talk about that. We have talked about putting rhubarb in and strawberries. The issue we've had so far is that when we go to rototill the garden, we just have to know where we're going to place those and that. So it's a possibility.
And is there a cornfield or something behind you or close to those gardens? Or
There is not.
I'm trying to figure out what's back there. I
It's
can't picture
kind of
it.
between the church and is it Emerald Acres
Yeah,
or
oh, okay.
yes.
So you don't have to worry about spray residue is what I was thinking about.
No,
Yeah,
no,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
No, the biggest thing is gophers and rabbits.
Yeah. Yeah. No, the rabbits they're really bad. So
Yes. That's why we put the fence.
yeah.
And
When I had a garden, I always had a fence around it because
Yes.
it just otherwise it was a losing proposition.
Yep. I've given my garden over to the rabbits several years in a row before I put a fence up. So I get it.
Yeah.
One of the values of the Steve Brown Arts Center, Vonice, is service, and to us this is a big deal. And when you were recommended to us, we wanted to have you on. Thank you for doing this.
Oh, yes, thank you for letting me come because
yeah.
we've been trying to get the word out. We would like to have the plots being used instead of sitting empty.
Yeah, well, quite honestly, I had no idea they were over there until this evening, and it's
Yeah.
just so it's tough getting information out. We need to get it out as best we can.
It is,
So, yeah.
yes. So I appreciate you letting us do that.
we're happy to
That's
do
great.
It's as we in a smaller town such as ours, it's hard to we battle getting the Steve Brown Arts Center battles at getting news out.
Yeah.
As well. And thanks to John Klotzbach, he's with us tonight as well at the Independence paper. He's done a lot, and we have a social media specialist and another lady that runs our website. But still, with all of that, it's still hard. People don't. It's not like the old days where people just went to the paper and that was how it is.
Yeah.
So you just have to tell as many people as you can.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So thank you again, Vonice. Is there anything that we didn't ask that you'd like to talk about?
I think we've covered most everything that I had.
Where does Vonice come from, or is that a?
My mother told me once, and I can't remember, but it was some name that she heard and she liked it. And
okay.
I've not been a fan of it all my life,
I'm
but
sure.
it's
Yeah. I think you're the first one that I've
yes.
ever heard. And so.
Yep.
Okay.
Hopefully the last one. that
Well,
you-
I don't know. Might be 4 or 5 of them running around out there. We just don't know about them.
Don't
So
know.
okay.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Vonice.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Today we're talking about the third step to success in Og Mandino's book, The Greatest Salesman in the World. The third step to success is I am nature's greatest miracle. Dale, we are all a miracle. I used to talk about this with my students a lot, and think about antiques. And this is not a remark on your age, Dale,
Okay,
as
well,
I
I see.
talk about it.
I don't go into antique stores anymore. My wife tries to sell me to the guy. So.
But think about antiques. There's a reason people want antiques because they're rare. Mm-hmm. And we're all rare. We're all unique. And there is value in uniqueness. I have many friends. I'm fortunate to have a lot of friends and acquaintances, and they're all different in their own way. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't want them all the same. When I was a young teacher, there was some incredible role models around, like yourself, Dale, Larry Baldwin, Mike Sinrum, Rod Olson, Bob Miner was there, Dick Lochran,
You say a woman.
Pat Rose.
Okay.
And I tried at first as a young teacher to be like many of those people, and I realized that I can be those people.
That's an important lesson to learn, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. There's value in uniqueness.
Yeah. My kids were younger, so I went at a different way, but he's talked about if there was a difference of opinion, it's not right, it's not wrong, it's just different. Mm-hmm. And different does not mean that it's right, and different does not mean it's wrong. It's just different, and different is good. So not everybody has to think the same way. So
The first 3 steps to success that we talked about were: today I begin a new life, I am nature's greatest miracle, and I will persist until I succeed. We're the first 3 steps to success. Next week, the 4th step to success we will have for you. Dale, do you have anything breaking news for us as far as Farmers Day?
Well, we're starting to put together 200 more flags to go out for this. I'll talk about the Memorial Day service first. Memorial Day, remember, at 10:15 out at the cemetery, 10 o'clock at the Catholic Cemetery, then 10:15 at the at Cedar Crest. And we're having a short service, and the Legion Honor Guard will be out there. And Nancy Ekholm is going to sing a couple songs, and there'll be a prayer, and just a very short program. And I hope lots of people come out It's a time to think about those that have gone before you, not just veterans, I don't think, but the people that have gone before you. And used to be called Decoration Day, where they would go out and decorate the graves in the cemeteries. And so, but anyway, we're going to have an avenue of flags from 6th Street all the way out to the cemetery, flags on both sides, every so many feet. And we just got a couple new boxes of flags, thanks to the nice people at Legacies. And we're attaching those to poles and getting ready. And it's really kind of neat. You just take a cement drill, bit on a drill, and just drill a hole and stick it down in there, and away you go. So last year we had a terrible time with the wind. The wind was like 50 degrees or 50 miles an hour all 3 days. We had them up, and a lot of them were torn. And Alan took them out to the Amish guy, and he sewed them all up $1 a piece.
Oh,
Isn't
cool.
that amazing? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have all those, and we have a whole bunch of brand new ones that we're getting ready to go. So we're hoping it's not as windy. And so Farmers Day, we're still plugging along. We've got kind of an outline of where all these things are going to be Thursday night. We're going to try to put the rocket. We have this 24-foot rocket. We're going to try to put it up during the car cruise, just to see if it holds air.
Yeah.
But show us the picture. It's got ropes holding it down, this sort of thing. And so, if weather permitting, we'll put it up during the car cruise if we can work that out.
Oh, cool.
The car cruise, I think, is the first. Is it the first Sunday in June? I think.
I think so.
Yeah, and so we're going to do that, and we got I remember that paper, but we got a different band for Saturday night than we were going to have. That band had to cancel on us, and so we had a new band already for that. And I don't know. Well, first time ever we bought event insurance. Things are starting to get so high priced, and so if we get during the 3 days 5 inches of rain, or over 100 degrees temperature, or what's the other thing? So one other thing, then we're covered up to $50,000.
Okay.
Yeah, but for $354 the cost of the insurance. Right. So what do you think the chances are collected? I don't know. But it's getting to the point where things are so expensive you almost have to have event insurance. Otherwise, we've always had, we need enough money to put this year on, and if things just go boom, nothing happens, we still have enough money to go the next year.
Yep.
Harder and harder to do that anymore because everything is so much more expensive. And so we have taken out event insurance. And so that's the first time we've ever done that.
Interesting.
So looking forward to it. I think everything's going to...
It'll be fine.
Yeah. See Mike Fettgator, thank him. He does an awful lot for Farmers Day. He's our computer whiz, and he gets the website going and all that sort of thing. And so he's just a remarkable young man.
We need to get Mike in here on the podcast.
Yeah, actually you should, because he's very interesting. And I like to know more of his background because he must have a very interesting life story to tell. Yeah. Because
a couple of community service announcements here. Don't forget, tonight from 6 till 8, this is Monday, May 22nd, from 6 till 8, at the Jesup Bible Fellowship on 152 South Street, Jesup, Iowa. There's free suicide prevention training. And then again, Thursday, the 25th, from 6 until 8, here at Cowork 591 at 591 Young Street in Jesup, Iowa. There's free suicide prevention training. Reserve your spot now. Contact Ryan R. Nesbitt at gmail.com or call 641-990-4957. That's ryan.r.nesbitt, Nesbit, at gmail.com. Or Call 641-990-4957.
John was in here a little while ago from the Bulletin Journal. They had a nice big ad in the last issue that I saw of their paper for that program.
Oh, very good. Very
The
good.
word is getting out. So.
That's good. In Jesup news, in city school news, their state track was this past weekend, and we don't have the updates as we tape the Wednesday prior, but there were 7 events, five girl events and 2 boy events at state track.
They have the Jesup school flags up and down the street.
Yes, they
so
do.
You know somebody's at state when that happens. So.
Mm-hmm. Don't forget the land swap. The city received the land that the water tower sits on, and the school received the land that the tennis court sits on.
Yeah.
That is final at the city council. Excuse me, the city council meeting. The lot width of 70 feet was finally passed.
Okay.
And the bid for the North Street pavement project will be open until June 19th. And they will open it at the city council meeting that night. So they will be working on paving from the golf course to where it turns to the 4-way intersection that runs to down Main Street and V62 there.
Yeah, okay.
So that is going to take place. And finally, the Keela Cambry tribe is scheduled for September 9th. If you're interested in that, contact J.D. Wald. I believe they have a 5K for that, and they also have some events in the park that day.
Okay.
Dale, something popped up on my Twitter page recently that I had forgot about for a while. I know a lot about it. Do you know who Jack Taylor was?
Doesn't ring a bell. No.
Okay. Jack Taylor was a basketball player at Grinnell College. Oh, I'm trying to think of the dates here. Would have been in 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, right in there.
Okay.
But Jack played for the world-renowned basketball coach David Arsenal. David Arsenal was from Canada, and he took the coaching job, the men's coaching job at Grinnell College. Now, Grinnell calls itself the Harvard of the Midwest. It is tough to get in there.
Yeah.
I mean, extremely hard. I've had students that were just brilliant, that had over 30 ACTs, were active in the community, and they weren't accepted to Grinnell.
I guess they have tons of money in their endowment, right? They're a very wealthy school.
They are. And because of that, sports aren't huge there. Mm-hmm. And basketball lost for years and years and years, and guys would quit because they had 100 other things to do, and they were academically involved and worried about becoming lawyers and doctors someday and other things. Well, David came in, and he had to find a way to keep his guys involved. So he set up what was called the Grinnell system. And the Grinnell system is they try, half their shots are 3-pointers. At first, when they started it, they substituted 5 guys every minute. They wanted 100 shots a game. They pressed full court for the entire game, and they wanted to shoot it every 12 seconds.
Yeah, I remember this now. Yeah.
Yep. And David had a lot of success keeping his guys around. He set several scoring records. As a matter of fact, Grinnell led the country in scoring for many years because of the system. David was a brilliant man. He was doing analytics before they were doing analytics in the NBA, and a lot of stuff in the NBA that's being done now was done at Grinnell 20 years ago.
Yeah.
People don't give David the credit. Everybody wants to give Mike D'Antoni from Phoenix and former GM at Houston credit, and Arsenal was doing it at Grinnell.
Yeah.
But I saw David speak, and I was fortunate enough I was never friends with David. I mean, he was an acquaintance.
Sure.
And because Virgil Hovden ran the system at Dunkerton.
I remember that too. Yeah. All right.
We got to know David over the years, and he taught us a lot. We went down to Grinnell 2 or 3 times. And we watched, and we saw David and his son, young Dave, speak at a clinic. And Virgil and I just happened to be walking in the same time him and Dave were walking in. And David turned to Virgil and said, "I got a kid that's going to score 100 points."
Yeah.
And he'd been talking about that for years. A lot of people want to take it as an insult to the game and an insult to the opponents that you play. Think about this, Dale. Imagine if you sit down and talk 2 or 3 days before the game and say, we can get such and such 100 points on Saturday night. How good a teammate must that young man be to want to get him that 100 points?
No.
And not score your own points.
Yeah.
And they decided to get Jack Taylor 100 points. And it was against a team called Faith Baptist Bible School. And David told me whenever he decided to get a record, he would tell his opponents, we're going to try to get a record. He never hit it. Dave is a kind, he's a good man. He shared his system with thousands of people. He had people live in his house for a year to learn the system.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Yeah. He wrote several books about it. And he would tell people, we're going to try to set a record against you.
Yeah.
And he told the Faith Baptist coach that night, we're going to try to get Jack Taylor 100 points tonight. People don't realize when you try to get one of your own guys 100 points, that their guys are going to have big games too.
Yeah.
And that night, Faith Baptist had a man named David Larson who had 70 points, who shot 34 for 44 from the field.
Everybody like 75%, pretty close.
Yeah,
Over 75%.
very good,
yeah.
75%. Yep, exactly. Incredible. Dave always called those guys that scored big against Grinnell the system darling. And so that particular night, David Larson was the system darling. So imagine a man scoring 70 points against you. Would have drove Mr. Baldwin crazy.
Yes, it would.
Yeah. But that night, with David Larson scoring 70 for Faith Baptist, for Grinnell, Jack Taylor scored 138 points.
Okay. And does it have any minutes?
He played 36 minutes.
36 minutes. That's unbelievable.
That is unbelievable. He shot 52 for 108. And for those of you interested, you can see every shot on YouTube.
Okay.
You can go watch that.
So how
it's
many shots did the
remarkable.
other four guys get? Or
Well,
four, but
well, good question. I'll get to that.
all right,
That's a
I'm
good
sorry.
point.
I'm sorry.
He was 27 for 71 from the three-point arc.
Okay.
So he shot 71 of his 108 shots. He shot 71 threes. And I remember Jack Taylor he went to a Division I school his first year and blew his knee and missed a year because of the knee and decided to go to Grinnell.
Yeah.
And so when he came in, that's when Arsenal realized he had a score. And so he ended up with 138 points in 36 minutes, 52 for 108 from the field, 27 for 71 from the three-point line, and 7 for 10 from the free throw line. Now, for total for the team, as Dale asked, the team was 68 for 136.
Okay.
So the rest of the team shot about 30 shots. But if you watch that online, and David had numbered players, he would move him around, and he would rest him on defense, and so he couldn't help. David couldn't help if Faith Baptist wasn't scoring.
Yeah.
And Faith Baptist still scored 107 points.
Yeah.
The final score of the game was 179 to 107 in a remarkable effort.
Yeah.
By both teams, actually.
Yeah.
But there a lot of people take that as an insult to the game. But here is the thing: Grinnell is a Division III college. They don't charge to get into games. They have no way to make money.
Yeah.
And David told me after this that 138 points made Grinnell $5 million.
Oh, wow.
People, graduates donating to Grinnell,
Yep.
hearing about it on ESPN, Sports Illustrated, on all the different news outlets. Soon as the game was over, Jack Taylor did like interviews till 2 a.m. Then he got up at 6 a.m. He was on Good Morning America,
Okay.
and did interviews till 6 that next night. It was the best propaganda that Grinnell ever had.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure it was. So.
And you know, a lot of people take it as an insult to the game, but imagine what it took to get Jack Taylor
Yeah.
that kind of shots when everybody in the gym knew he was going to shoot.
Yeah. Now, my wife was teaching at Duncan, so we went to a lot of games because she knew the kids that were playing. And when Virgil was playing that system, I mean, very entertaining basketball to watch. I mean, it was a lot of fun. He won a lot of games, but it was a lot of fun to see that. And so, yeah, I have no problem with people scoring a lot of points. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do, is score points. And so, I tell you my favorite Grinnell College story. I only have one. But Terry Shears and I were both teaching fourth grade, and I saw in the paper about this lecture on a Saturday down at Grinnell. It's in the spring, in May. And so I asked Terry if he'd like to go. And so it's on our own time, take our own car and everything, drive down there, and we get in the lecture hall. You know, some kind of science thing that we thought would go with our curriculum. So the guy starts talking, and we sit there, and pretty soon we realize that we do not understand anything about what he is talking about. It was just unbelievable. Both of us just looked at it going, I haven't, and we just did not know what he was talking about at all. And so, of course, we sat through the lecture. And then I remember we walked down someplace and had lunch and came back and got in the car and came back to Jesup. You know? It was a beautiful May day. They got a beautiful campus there. But we still kid about that, how we just did not understand anything about what that guy was saying. So Now I remember that game now when they were talking about that.
Yeah.
And that kid scoring all those points. And yeah, that's amazing.
So don't forget that Jesup, in Jesup, the Steve Brown Arts Center and Jesup Community Rec Program will have a week of musical theater camp at the Jesup Park Pavilion. Campers will learn the process of putting on a musical in just 1 week. As a group, we will design the sets, props, and costumes, and also star in the show. The camp ends with a performance for friends and family. The dates are July 24th through the 27th from 9 until 2, and July 28th from 9 until 5 with a performance at 4 o'clock. Register using the QR code on this. And presently, there's only 4 signed up.
Okay.
Now, one of the things that Kira Masteller is working on is to get pictures from Heather and Drew to show some things they've done before, so we can post those, and we want to promote that more because it's a special project. And it's a very unique project. I talked to Paul Yeager at Iowa Public Television, and Paul is real excited that we're doing this.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, well, he was in a lot of productions when he was in school.
He
And
was.
So, yeah.
He
And
was.
and some of them probably with Heather,
Yeah.
more than likely. So
Yes.
don't let money, if you're thinking about this and you think, was it $200? Don't let money be a problem. Money is available for camperships or whatever, and I'm sure your kids will get a lot out of this. So I encourage you to sign up. The kids really want to do this, but they need 25 kids, and so hopefully people will sign up and do this.
Yes. Dale, what's your take on the latest gambling scandal at Iowa and Iowa State?
Well, the NCAA is probably the only organization in the world that has problems with gambling anymore. All the, like you think about the Black Sox scandal in 1919, and that was about gambling and throwing the games and this sort of thing, which never was proven to my satisfaction. But very wary about gamblers, and Pete Rose is sitting there waiting to get in the Hall of Fame because he bet on some games, and now everybody's betting on everything, and you can make 25 bets over one guy's at bat. It seems like anymore, and so for them to think these kids aren't going to get caught up in that, Iowa, we bet $4 billion online gambling in the last year or so. It's like billion with a B. And so tremendous amount of money, and there's advertising all the time with big name stars about gamblings, the sports books and this sort of thing. And so they talk about that one kid, he bet $300 or something on a game, and he won $41 and cost him half the season. They suspended him for half the season for $41 that he won gambling. And so anyway, I'm saying I think if you're playing football, you shouldn't bet on football. Maybe you shouldn't bet on your own team. And football is the worst because if you know that the starting quarterback's got a bad knee, that influences how you bet. And so if that information gets out, like Kurt Ferentz never wants to talk about injuries.
Right.
But they're saying now maybe we ought to have a rule that everybody has to report the injuries to keep it fair for everybody. Because if you have inside information from a player that tells you, our quarterback's got a bad knee, that influences the game and influences the bets. And so it's a complicated situation, but I guess I can't see. There's got to be some way of setting some regulations so these kids can bet like everybody else does and not be throwing the game. But there's always that temptation. So what do you think?
Gambling's been around for a long time. Perhaps the most famous college football player of all time, George Gipp of Notre Dame.
Yep.
The famous Gipper.
Yes.
Win one for the Gipper.
Right. Ronald Reagan.
Ronald Reagan. George Gipp was probably a man that never went to class at Notre Dame. He spent the majority of his time in pool halls,
Yeah.
playing poker and shooting pool for money. He gambled a lot,
Yeah.
Dale. And so gambling's been around a long time. We have let the genie out of the bottle with DraftKings and all the other apps on the phone where you can bet on what color the queen's dress is going to
Sure.
be.
Yeah.
We've got, these guys at Iowa and Iowa State. Iowa State's involved
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Have made mistakes, and there's a couple reasons they made mistakes. In Iowa, you got to be 21 to make a bet, and I'm sure a number of them were under 21.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So there's two investigations being done. One is by the organization that John Bergman, a former guest
Oh,
here,
okay.
the department, the Bureau of Criminal Investigations, BCI,
Yeah.
and then the gaming, the Iowa Gaming, is also investigating this because obviously if you're under 21, you shouldn't be able to bet.
Yep.
And so it set things off in other colleges as soon as that came out, and many of the colleges throughout the country just attacked their athletes about watch it, it's going to happen. And they're going to investigate you. But at the same time, the Alabama baseball coach was caught throwing a game.
Yeah.
The genie's out of the bottle. This won't be the last time.
No.
It's gonna happen a lot. Anytime players can make money, people can make money. They're
Well,
gonna make
and
money.
a lot of those players, more so in the past, were really poor. I mean, they always talk about the kid be recruited from Florida to play in Iowa, and you get to Iowa, doesn't have a coat, never needed a coat in his life, but the athletic department couldn't give him enough money or give him a coat because that would be breaking some rule
Right.
from the NCAA, which, see, to me, that is stupidity. That you couldn't help a kid get a coat. Or they used to they give them campus jobs. They water the grass at the football field. That was their job, but they had automatic sprinklers. So college has been cheating a long time. I remember back in the 50s where Paul Hornung and Alex Karras, big stars in the NFL, were caught gambling. And so they got a 1-year suspension. And the thing that got me is that when they came back the next year, Vince Lombardi was the coach at Green Bay, where Hornung played. He said he had Hornung running the steps in the stadium till his tongue hung 6 inches out of his mouth. And Hornung was a big star, he was the guy. But so they got tough with it because those were two big name players. They weren't just they were stars, and so it's been, like you said, it's been going on a long time. And but how they can say Shoeless Joe when he made no errors, hit 365, and this so many RAs, how he was cheating, I never could get that. So
Don't forget the Jesup. The Steve Brown Arts Center has many programs going on. We're at the Independence Farmers Market May 20th, May 27th, and again June 3rd. We have Art in the Park in association with the Jesup Public Library at the Land of Corn Pavilion from 1 until 2. I know that Ali Borjading has a program for that day. And then we're back at the Independence Farmers Market June 10th. Then back again at the Art in the Park and Land of the Corn Pavilion June 15th. And Allie has a second program for you that day. So please keep your eye out on the Jesup Public Library's social media for more information on that. Remember, on July 29th, The Littleton Free Watermelon Day will be from noon until 8, and there will be musicians and artists and food vendors there.
And watermelon.
And free watermelon.
Free watermelon.
Free watermelon.
That always tastes best.
That does. It's sponsored by the Littleton Lounge, Reyes Concrete, Littleton Chatham Historical Society, Jacobson Fabrication Repair, Dream Chaser Acres, Boyd's, Jesup Lions Club, Independence High School FFA, Thomas James, Totally Rolled Ice Cream, Northeast Iowa, Even Events and Rentals, and Derek's Repair Shop. It's presented by the Steve Brown Arts Center.
So when you were a kid, were you a nighttime watermelon getter? Or?
You know, there wasn't a lot of watermelon patches in our area.
Okay. 'Cause that used to be a big thing, is to sneak out and try to snitch a watermelon in the middle of the night. And so kind of exciting, you know. That was your thrill. But I never did that, of course.
Right.
I was more the grapes and apple guy. So
Dale, do you have any other announcements for us here before I wrap things up?
no, I don't think so. Aren't you going to talk about what your mother taught you, or
Well, it is.
save it for another day?
I'm gonna save that for another
Okay.
day.
All right. Then I'm good.
All right.
All right.
The Steve Brown Arts Center is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that has a vision for artists, young and old alike, to have the opportunity to better themselves while helping to build the skills of those around them. It will be offering community programming starting in Jesup, Iowa, before extending to neighboring communities. If you would like to donate to the Steve Brown Arts Center or have an idea for an event, go to the stevebrownartscenter.org and follow the link, or call me at 319-290-0241. That's 319-290-0241, and leave a message. If you have news, contact me at jim@stevebrownartscenter.org. I'm Jim Gillespie. Thanks to co-host Dale Rueber and our producer Blake Tempus. Blake, we're happy you have your summer residency planned here. We're excited that you're in town here.
And he passed. He got his first year of college, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's
There
all
you
right.
go.
Only 3 more to go.
All right. Thank you for everything you do for us,
Thank
Blake.
you, Blake.
Thank you.
Thanks to Kelly Cias, Co-Work 591 Studios. Co-Work has been incredible to the Steve Brown Arts Center. Make sure that you spend you spend time here at Co-Work Studios and Co-Work 591. Remember, each day is about little victories.